I am Indian American. I was born to two parents, obviously two parents. Hi everyone, my name is Christina and welcome to my channel. I am here to tell you about my divorce story and basically provide a forum where we can come together as a community of women and men who are either going through divorce, have been through it, and are healing. So my story, I think it's important to give you a little bit of context. I was the firstborn out of three girls, and my parents were so determined to have all three of us grow up as Americans that they did not teach us Tamil, which was our native language. We grew up speaking English. I was a big time people pleaser. My mom loved to film home videos, and in all the videos, you could see me just performing for my mom. I felt like I wasn't worthy unless I got that external validation from my mother. I never pursued science or math because I always had really low self-esteem and I thought that I was stupid. So I never thought that I could be a doctor. Like both my sisters ended up going that route. The next option was to be a lawyer and I was like, well, I can't read that many books. That's not happening either. So the next best thing for me was to go into the Silicon Valley and pursue a career in tech. And that's what I did. I got a job at a small startup. And then my second job right after that was at Oracle. Worked there. And in the same year, I bought my condo. So I bought my condo. A couple years later, I go on to work for Google. And then I buy another property. A few years later, I work for another startup. And then I work for Square. And so I've worked at all these amazing companies. I've been making bank at this time. And I owned two properties. And so on paper, it looked like I was doing great. She must be like so happy with her life, but I was still in that pursuit of doing what my parents wanted me to do. I was trying to please my parents, not even doing what they wanted me to do. I was just trying to please them. I already thought that I'd failed in the whole medical department in the doctor area, because I ended up not being a doctor. So I pretty much felt like I had to compensate for that. So that's why I was working all these Silicon Valley jobs and then I was buying houses and I thought like, okay, well maybe if I do all this and it'll make it for me not being a doctor. But unfortunately that would never, ever, ever work. It's just not how that works. But that's just where my head was at. That's how I thought at that time. Fast forward a couple more years, I'm getting married and the guy is Indian. He's got a good job. He comes from a good family. He's also from the Bay Area. So he checked off everything on the list in my parents' eyes. So I'm like, okay, great. Like this guy looks great to my parents and my parents both loved him. So I was like, all right, cool. Like I've checked that off the list also. Sooner or later, if you're a people pleaser, that catches up to you because you could only please everyone for so long, right? My marriage was tough because my ex was from Northern India. He was Hindu and I'm from South India and I'm Catholic. And so my parents didn't care so much about that, but his did. He comes from a very traditional family. And so I think they would have preferred that he was with someone who was the same. But more than that, I think they wanted him to be with someone who was just going to take orders and not ask any questions. So I went back home and I was so lost. I didn't know what I was going to do because earlier in that year, I ended up getting laid off at my job. And then I had moved out because we got divorced too. So I'm now without a job and without a husband. I don't really know which way to go from here. I took the next couple years to really start to figure that out. And so that's when I started getting into fitness because fitness was the only thing that was really keeping me out of bed. Because the first couple months that I was divorced, all I wanted to do was lay down and I didn't want to do anything. I wasn't really eating properly. And so I started getting into SoulCycle. And so I was riding all the time. And I reached a point where I was like, I think I should probably teach this. I think that'd be really fun. I started teaching classes at True Fusion. They gave me my first kind of break, my first big break. And I started teaching cycle there. Pandemic happened and I kept teaching classes. And that's when I started picking up the camera and I started filming content that wasn't just for me. It was for brands. And then I started getting paid for that. The divorce was really hard on my parents. And I don't think they really knew how to support me and how to help me. I think all they really knew was just go get another job, just go get another job and then move out and I guess start over. Like, I don't know if they really knew like how to parent me at that point, because my dad was divorced, but his solution was just go back to India and have his mom choose his bride for him, which is what he did. And that's how he ended up marrying my mom. And so I think with me, it's like, okay, she's a girl in America. Like, we don't really know what to do with you. Like, you are like on your own, literally. The time that I've spent in LA to really kind of start from scratch and figure out who I am all over again is the healing journey. I by no means am a healed person, and I don't believe that healed is a destination. I believe in healing, and you will spend your entire life healing, evolving, and becoming someone better than who you were yesterday. I think that I don't think that you ever stop. I mean, we continue to age, we continue to get old. So with that, I think comes relearning and unlearning, and that is just like a nonstop cycle that we just, or not even cycle, it's just a nonstop trajectory that we just take on. I've been in therapy now for a little over 2 years consistently. I started with cognitive behavioral therapy, and that was really designed to help me calm my emotions, because I was so traumatized by all of the shit from my past that I would react really violently to anger. So if someone's getting mad at me, I would yell back, I would scream, I would cry. Like, I could just not survive around anger. It was really anger and sadness. There was a lot of pain that was just buried deep inside of me that I had to let go, and I just didn't know how to let it go. And so I started with cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. I graduated from that, and now I'm in EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. So it's a form of psychotherapy. So basically what you do is, and the therapist will guide you through this, is you create these tapping motions. Either you can do it on yourself, or my therapist has these 2 little nodes, electric nodes, that she just puts into your hand. She's not electrocuting me or anything. When you have negative emotions associated with memories, your brain, like your logical executive functioning part of your brain, like wants to make sense of it and wants to understand, like, well, what is going on here? But the brain is just having some trouble like with those neural pathways. And so EMDR helps create those neural pathways between the emotional part of your brain and the logical side of your brain. I've been doing it for almost a year now, and I cannot believe how much I have evolved and changed. Just the way I would think about myself to now, it's like night and day. And I've done a ton of journaling in between. I try to journal every couple days or so, or whenever I get inspired. I leave my journal kind of laying around my apartment. It'll be like by my desk, it'll be by my nightstand. I kind of move it around just because if I do have a thought, I want it to be readily available for me to write it down. So I live in LA with my kitty Enzo, who's locked up in the bathroom right now because he was so bad. He kept jumping everywhere. He was like on the light, he was on the camera. I wouldn't be able to finish a single damn thought. I run a videography business. I work for a startup doing social media and sales. I teach cycle classes at True Fusion and at Equinox. I love food, so I'm always trying different restaurants around LA. I love Disneyland, so I'm always going to Disneyland. The purpose of this YouTube channel is to just share with you how I've created this life that makes me happy to live, makes me excited to live, and how I moved through all of the pain. I do believe that I've found a way where it has become digestible, and I've been able to successfully create a life that I am so excited to live every single day. And if you're someone who's going through divorce, I want you to know, because I never had access to this kind of resource. I never knew of another Indian person who had gotten divorced just because nobody was talking about it, you know? So if someone did get divorced, it was kind of like they went off social media or they would delete all of their pictures with their ex and then they were just like stoic about it. Nobody was talking about it. So I don't want anyone who's maybe going through it right now to feel the way I felt when I was going through it, because I very much felt alone. Like, I'm sure if I went on YouTube, I'd be able to find a bunch of divorce content, but it's so different hearing about it from someone who's not brown. You know, it's so different in our culture. Marriage means something totally different in the Indian culture. I mean, in the United States, the divorce rate is still about 50%. And that I don't think includes Indians. Like, I don't think many Indians are in that statistic. I mean, I'm an anomaly because I was raised American. Now, if I was raised Indian, then I wonder if it would have been different and if I'd still be married and not making this video right now. Tell me if you are going through something right now that's similar. Maybe you're in your healing journey and you're starting to feel yourself again for the first time. And I'm telling you, like, when you are in that pursuit of healing and you really do start to feel yourself, for me, it was for the first time because I'm now in a place where I'm not trying to please somebody else and I'm not seeking external validation. Like, the validation I'm searching for is all within myself. This was fun. More amazing content coming for you soon. If there's anything in particular relating to divorce or life after divorce that you would like for me to share, then drop that down in a comment. You can also send me an email at xtinadavis@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you, and I will talk to you guys later.